Also have invited on Bill Feehan. He's chair of the La Crosse County Republican Party in Wisconsin. And as mentioned, had Trump won Wisconsin, he would have been a Trump elector. Thanks for joining me tonight.
Well, it's nice to be here, but I'm the chairman of the 3rd Congressional District Republican Party. And that's why I'm an elector in Wisconsin.
Sorry, that step. Party official. Great. Well, let me ask you this. Here we are 4 years out. 4 years ago, you were on the winning side. Donald Trump was president-elect that cycle. Now, of course, Joe Biden is president-elect. So how do you feel? How are you sort of reflecting on the process this cycle when you're on the other side of it?
Well, the first thing is we have to understand that there's fraud in every presidential election. Question is, does it rise to a level where it changes the outcome of the election? And here in Wisconsin, the Wisconsin Elections Commission repeatedly ignored state law. Number one, by issuing 215,000 ballots with no identification for indefinitely confined electors.
We could get to that, but I was curious if you want to just sort of answer the question I asked.
So what's your question?
I was just curious how you're reflecting. This is one of those days where it is a day for democracy. It's a civic day. And I was mentioning last cycle when you were supporting Donald Trump, he was the president-elect. This time he's not. He's the loser of this race. How are you reflecting on sort of being on the other side of it on a day when traditionally there can be some unity for the process?
Well, first of all, the Electoral College will meet on January 6th. A joint session of Congress, and that's where the vote will take place to determine who the president of the United States is. So that hasn't happened yet. So
also somewhat non-responsive. I mean, I guess I'm asking you, the president-elect is Joe Biden. There is a process. Last cycle, at this time, you were, as was the whole Republican Party, resolved on the fact that we were past the point that the results were clear. And so I guess what I was asking, maybe you're not answering, we can move on to other topics, just how you felt about that.
Well, I think it's pretty clear. What I'm saying is that the president of the United States will be determined on January 6th, not today. And yes, Republican electors like myself cast
I guess if you're going to go there, why wasn't that your approach last time, or the Republican Party's approach?
Well, there was no contention. There were no lawsuits the last time. I mean,
I'm a little curious as well, since you did want to get into validity. We have a quote from you from an interview with BuzzFeed where you said, "I haven't seen any evidence that proves there was massive voter fraud or enough to change the outcome in Wisconsin." And of course, that's what
I'll just say. There are clear instances where the Wisconsin Election Commission gave instructions to the clerks that contradict state law. I mentioned 215,000 ballots without ID. They also instructed clerks to cure ballots. They refused to remove 130 people from the rolls who had moved out of state. We know about 7,000 of those people voted in this election.
And so well, maybe we just, for clarity, are you of the view that? Let me just finish the question, sir. Are you of the view that that Joe Biden is not the president-elect and didn't win the election?
I'm of the view that there's still legal cases that are moving forward. And one of those I'm plaintiff in that's being appealed to the Supreme Court. It's already been appealed to the Supreme Court.
I'm familiar with that case.
But yes,
you lost that case. You can appeal it. Are you going to? You can understand how viewers might think, gosh, are you of the view that Joe Biden's the president-elect or not? That's a yes or no question.
No.
Send in the National Guard, a fucking SWAT team, because I ain't going nowhere.